There's no crying. There's no crying in baseball.
Okay, well, welcome to pod number one of Launch Angle, which is a baseball podcast where we talk about a little bit of everything baseball that we want to talk about, which is fantasy advice. It's breaking news, gut reactions. Hopefully we have some guests on. And, of course, some griping about our favorite teams. My name's Sam, and I'm here with my friend.
Hey, guys. I am Tanner Pinkman. Excited to be here chatting baseball with you all. If you couldn't tell by the hat, Sam is a Mariners fan, and with my background, I'm a Yankees fan. No hat today, but we'll get there. Right now, this podcast is not sponsored, but we'd be happy to have you as a sponsor if you want to. So feel free to drop us a message or text us or however you want to reach out. We're excited to be here, kicking off our inaugural podcast and chatting baseball.
Dude, it's honestly embarrassing that I just realized that your background was Yankee Stadium. I thought it was just a baseball field.
Just a generic baseball field. You know, it's all right.
Off to a good start. Tanner, there's only 3 weeks until pitchers and catchers report. It feels like every year I say that there's some weird countdown. There's something weird about pitchers and catchers reporting for me. It's like the mark of a new season, even though I don't get that like jacked up about spring training. But it's in 21 days, and so it feels like it's definitely time to talk some baseball. Let's start with this. Let's start with gut reactions to off-season moves so far, and I'll start with you, Tanner. I want your gut reaction just about off-season. Has it been busy so far, do you feel like? And from that, let's talk about Kyle Tucker.
No, it has not been busy. It's been quite a slow start, I feel like. And, I mean, there's been moves. Teams have made a handful of moves, but there's not really been a ton of movement on stuff. There's been very few trades, a couple that have kind of gone under the radar because they're just not big deals. Like the Red Sox getting the Contreras brother, whichever one that is from the Cardinals. I saw that. And I was just like, okay, like that doesn't make any sense because he's like a very average player, but whatever. They did that. The Yankees today signed some minor league guy from the A's. It's like, okay, nobody cares about that. But then you got Kyle Tucker for $60 million for 4 years is just insane. I saw the Blue Jays offered him a 10-year deal for like 35 a year, and he's almost getting that in 4 years.
Basically double the money.
Insane. Basically double the money.
You're right. I think it has been quiet. It actually bothers me how quiet it's been. I don't know about you. I'd love to hear how you feel, but maybe it's been quieter just because of the price tag. I don't know. We'll have to talk about this more, but the willingness of teams just to spend right now, it feels like we're kind of walking on eggshells a little bit, unless you're the Dodgers or the Mets. It seems like those are the two blank check teams. Listen, Tucker, I feel like Tucker, here's what I wrote down. It just makes me question everything I wrote, like everything I know about free agent value in baseball. I grew up in a time where guys were paid well, but not $60 million a year well. And Tucker's a good player, but just because he's the best in the cycle, I'm confused at that dollar amount. It's the same with Bichette, right? Like, I don't know, we haven't talked about it, but $42 million a year for Bichette. I texted you right after that news broke. And is like Bichette's being paid it's like superstar money, and like, is he middle tier player? Is Bo Bichette a middle tier player, or is he a superstar?
He's a middle tier player. Like I'd say he's an all-star a lot of years, but he is not up there with the top middle infielders like Bobby Witt or Lindor or Gunnar Henderson or Ellie De La Cruz or Mookie Betts. Like
he's not up there with De La Cruz, you think?
No, De La Cruz is so much better of a all-around baseball player, I feel like. I mean, Bo Bichette, I guess, has the contact that De La Cruz doesn't. But when you're just looking at an overall baseball player, he's not there. Like, he's not cracking the top 5 shortstops, and he's making 42 a year. It just kind of blows my mind. Like, just not anything. And I think what this offseason is showing me, and I hate to say it, but like with how long things are getting dragged out and the money that these guys are going for, is going to push us to a lockout next year. Like, I don't even want to talk about it much, but I just don't see any situation where there's not a lockout next year with the CBA. Like, there needs to be some sort of limits and floors where teams can't just defer billions of dollars over, 10 years like the Dodgers are doing. And we also have to like set some time constraints. Like, guys have to be signed by this time because otherwise it just like keeps getting pushed back. So there's going to be a lockout next year. That's just a early hot take prediction, but it makes you wonder, like seeing some of these numbers, if that's why teams are a little hesitant too to spend it and do some of these more short-term deals, because they're like, well, we might not even have a season next year. Extreme,
Yeah.
but it's
No, it's
not
not extreme.
impossible.
I think that the reality is too that like both the organizations and the players have room to give and move. Like I think the players are winning money wise, but the teams are skirting. It feels like they're skirting the rules a bit. And like I've heard a lot of this week about are the Dodgers ruining baseball. There's a lot of hot takes, a lot of talk about are the Dodgers ruining baseball. We can talk about that a different day, I guess. But the reality of the situation is you're right. Like they're just deferring all that money and they're paying it later, and it's just ridiculous time. So you're right. They have to come to the table. And historically speaking, they haven't been very good at reaching a deal. Um, Going back to some of these numbers though too, I think Bichette is a middle tier guy, and just for fun, I looked up what Julio, some guys from my team, what Julio and Cal are being paid in 26. I'm sure you could do the same for the Yankees. It makes me because this makes me feel better about myself. Julio's getting paid $18 million in 2026, and I feel like he's like from a talent perspective, he's not far away from Bichette. Like they're pretty similar talent wise, at least at this point in their career. He's getting paid, 20, $24 million less than Bichette. And then there's Cal Raleigh, right? Who like just before last season we signed him on a 6-year deal. He's getting $11 million in 2026.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't surprise me if they restructure his contract because he was that close to an MVP. But like that just shows you what crazy market we're in. 42 million for Bichette when our teams are sitting on guys for 10 and 20 million, and that's starting to feel like a deal. What do you think about that?
It's a huge deal. I think like you look at those examples that you mentioned are great. I think if you look at the Braves, like some of the deals that they have long term for their guys, like Acuna, I think it's 17 and a half.
If he can stay healthy, yeah.
Even if like he get half a season for 17 million out of him, that's better than. That's still a pretty decent value for a player like that. Or like 2 years ago, Judge. I don't think you can argue that Judge is maybe the best baseball player we've seen in a long time, at least hitting, and he's making 40 a year, which seems like just a steal, like for what the value he brings the team. I don't know. It's a crazy time we're in.
It's crazy. We're gonna have to dive more into that just in future pods, just to talk about like the adjusted value of players, because there's tons more to be probably just for us to complain, right, about what guys are getting paid. But here's what I want to talk about now. I want to talk about the World Baseball Classic because it's coming up. It's looming. It's this weird thing where some people are happy that the World Baseball Classic happens because their teams guys get jump starts on the year. Like I'm happy that Julio gets at bats in the World Baseball Classic because he always starts cold. There's some people who don't like the World Baseball Classic because guys go out and get hurt, right? And like we're gonna look at the roster and we could look at guys and say, man, I hope he doesn't get hurt because I want him on my fantasy team. But I want to ask you this first: is the World Baseball Classic a good product? Yes or no? And why is it a good product or not?
I'm gonna say yes. There's a few reasons. I would say a couple of times ago, it was probably a no, because you just had these very average players playing. So I'd say, 10 years ago, whenever it started, it was no. But last go around, especially, it became a yes. And I think this year is even going to be more of a yes, with what seems like most of the best players wanting to play, which is pretty cool. We'll look at the rosters a little bit, and it's the best guys. So I think it's cool to see some of these guys actually care about playing for their country a little bit and having some of that competitive spirit. But yeah, like you said, the downside is I definitely fear for injuries, because I always want the best players on the field, no matter who they're playing for. It's no fun to see a guy hurt. So hopefully people stay away from injury, and hopefully there's at least enough buildup to kind of get them warmed up before going too crazy in the WBC.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it is overall a good. You hit it on the head. It's strong. I made a good and bad list here. The good is I feel like it showcases the world's best game on a world stage. But I was thinking of it in like terms of the World Cup, because you're a soccer fan too. I was thinking of it like World Cup wise. How many more countries play soccer instead of baseball? You know what I mean? Like, how do we get world exposure to baseball? Because here's one of the not as good that I wrote down. I wish it was marketed better, the World Baseball Classic. I feel like it could be, like, I like see a commercial here and there about it, but other than that, it's like nothing. And so, like, I just feel like even from a local perspective, they're not running commercials. They're not running promotion for it. And that bothers me. But also, like, I could count. It probably only takes two hands to count countries that even have a shot. Probably one hand of countries that even have a shot to win the World Baseball Classic, right?
Yeah, totally. And that's what's tough is like anybody can play soccer, so it's a lot easier to market it to the world. And not everybody can just go out and have a baseball game because you need equipment, you need a field, you need all this stuff. So it's just a lot different. And I mean, even the amount of countries who truly care is just so small that unfortunately it'll never be like soccer is. But it's cool to see the guys doing it. It's cool to see some guys going to play for some other countries. I think it's good to have like I think it's I saw Jazz Chisholm is playing for Great Britain, which I don't know why, but I'm like, that's probably great for him and for Great Britain to have a guy like that with a big personality to play to just bring some more awareness. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And I'll be watching games. I don't know about you, but I'll be watching those games and caring about it. Let's take a little bit of a deep dive if you're ready to preview some of that roster.
Let's do it.
I'm excited to hear about what you think about the roster because when I look at this roster, I see some of what looks like an all-star team, and some of as we'll get into it, kind of like there's one head scratcher on here that I'm excited to talk about. But what's your overall impression of the roster, and then what's one of the best strengths of the team?
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think it's a really, really strong roster. Like we've got a lot of excellent players here, infield, outfield, pitching, like everywhere. I would say like the team is really strong. Yeah, when you talk about head scratchers, some of the ones I'm like Clay Holmes, that's a head scratcher.
I knew you'd bring him
because I got to be anti Clay Holmes. Clayton Kershaw, definitely a head scratcher. I think we both know that. I think he's probably just there because he's about done playing and he wants to be there for the guys more than anything. Do I feel like he helps the team? Absolutely not. But I think in some of those games where we're playing nobodies and we need to eat some innings, I think he makes sense to throw in there. And he's still going to be better than some of those guys. A lot of the guys that they'll be going up against. So those are a couple of head scratchers. But man, outside of that, like if you get to that bullpen, it's going to be pretty nasty.
Here's the kicker for you late game. Would you rather late game high leverage? Would you rather throw Kershaw for an inning or Clay Holmes for an inning?
Kershaw, probably. I've seen Clay Holmes blow away too many games to be confident.
Well, he kind of led the league in that category, right? Or was close to at least a few years.
Had to be
of our lifetime. Yeah. When I look at the starting pitching specifically, like I see the top three, the big three. If this was on any MLB team, it would be completely unfair, which is Skubal, Skeens, and I think you could add Logan Webb to that list. I think Logan Webb is really a strong pitcher, and that he's proven that, especially for a team that's not very strong in San Francisco. Like when I look at what San Francisco is doing, I'm just like, what are you doing? Are you trying to win? And he's been having success in that ballpark, and he's a tough guy to hit against. Totally. That's just a huge top three to have in the World Baseball Classic. I don't know who's number one though, whether it's Skeens or Skubal. I think that's a fun conversation. Stuff wise, toughness wise, what do you think?
I don't think it matters. I think they're both number ones. I think more than anything, they just need to play matchups and not just be like we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as top 5. And it's like, okay, if we're playing Great Britain, maybe we'll throw Joe Ryan. But if we're playing Venezuela or the Dominican or Japan, like you want Skeens or Skubal out there. So yeah, I'd probably look a little more from the matchups.
For sure. But if you were playing Japan game 1, would you throw Skeens or Skubal?
Skubal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Japan, I don't know this, but I would imagine Japan is more lefty heavy than probably anybody else. And I'm throwing Skubal.
Lefty heavy contact hitters. Yep. Swinging. Yep. For sure. You made a comment about Kershaw. You said he's probably about done playing. It did feel a little bit like last year was his victory lap, did it not? I mean,
isn't he retired?
He has to be retired. Yeah, that was.
Look at this, like organization doesn't even have anybody.
Right. So
I think
his victory lap already happened. Apparently, he's staying in pitching shape so that he can pitch in the World Baseball Classic. He's not my head scratcher, but he is the obvious one. That's like, why is he on the roster?
Mm-hmm.
Here's another note that I have. is imagine having Will Smith as your backup catcher. Like, because I'm assuming that Cal will start. Like maybe that's a wrong assumption. Will Smith is a stud. I suppose you could DH Will Smith, and that would probably be good. But I feel like he's kind of been an integral part in what the Dodgers have done over there, kind of in a sneaky way.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think in the World Baseball Classic they're probably gonna be rotating catchers. I don't think they're gonna have one guy out there every day. I just don't think it makes sense for that. But I could be wrong.
And the teams probably want that too. Like, I'm assuming the Mariners don't want Cal catching every game and every inning of the World Baseball Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Very strong infield and outfield, though. And let's talk about this for a minute. Infield headlined by Bobby Witt Jr., outfield headlined by Aaron Judge. What do you see in those? And which one is stronger, do you think, the infield or the outfield?
Boy, you can't go wrong with either. They're both amazing. Because, I mean, I saw Gunner's going to be at second, Bregman's at third. Who's our first baseman? Who's going to be playing first? That's probably a weakness because it doesn't really have anybody. I thought I saw something about Harper would be maybe playing, that would be huge to have him at first. But right now, I'd probably have to go outfield just because I don't know who's playing first base. Because really, you can throw all four of those guys out there in the outfield, and they're all incredible. Like, yeah, they're all incredible.
Yeah, I agree. I think it, like, just looking at the outfield though, any mixture of that outfield is hard to it's hard to get better than that.
Yeah.
Here's what I wrote down as my head scratcher when my gut reaction to the roster. I just scrolled through the roster and I thought to myself, Byron Buxton, what is he doing on the roster, especially in an outfield of Corbin Carroll, Pete Crow Armstrong, and Aaron Judge? And then I looked up his stats, and I don't know if you and I have talked about this, but here's what Byron Buxton did this year. He had a WAR of 4.9. He hit 264, which for him is good, with 35 home run, 83 RBI. He had 24 bags, and he had an OPS plus of 136.
Yeah.
He was an all-star Silver Slugger, and perhaps maybe the most important is he stayed healthy, which I guess has been an issue for him. Like his whole career, he's had trouble staying healthy. He played in 126 games.
I mean, yeah, he still missed quite a few games, but he is just such a freak. Like if he's healthy and out there, he just brings so much value to a team. Like I'd put Buxton out there over PCA or Corbin Carroll because he is just such a great. He's so good all around, and Corbin Carroll and PCA both struggled at times offensively last year. I just think
PCA kind of had a breakout year in some sense, but you're right. I think Corbin Carroll, you're right. Like it felt like in some ways Carroll's took a weird step back.
Yeah.
In 2025, and I'm not sure what that could be attributed to. Maybe it's just the path of the organization. It kind of felt like the Snakes in 25 weren't really trying to win now. They were kind of towing the water a little bit, and I don't know if that affected him because he's kind of their franchise guy or what. But yeah, it feels like you're right about Buxton. He's kind of that freak athlete. He can't stay healthy. He's only played in 100 games, a few years in his career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking back at Corbin Carroll. He must have just started the season really slow because he still had a 30-30 season. He still hit 260. He still had a 140 OPS and a 5.8 WAR. So he must have had like the reverse PCA where PCA started so hot and then just like dropped off towards the end of the year. Anyways, I'd have to really compare, but we don't need to get into all that.
For sure. And more that we talk about it, obviously, the better I feel about it. There's really probably three countries that I feel nervous about playing in the World Baseball Classic, and talking about all this makes me feel better about it. Here's the head scratcher that I'll admit to you before we move on to the next thing. It's Ernie Clement, and from the Blue Jays. It's nothing against my guy Ernie. I know nothing about him other than he was a pest in the ALCS against the Mariners. Like he was hitting everything. But he only managed 9 home runs and 50 RBI in 157 games in 2025. He does hit for a decent average, but he only managed an OPS plus of 95. And so when I see his name on the list, I know you mentioned Harper, but like, can't we nab a better infielder than Ernie Clement?
Probably have to. Like we have to find somebody better than that, and I'm sure they will. But I guess that'll be to be determined. We'll see.
And he's listed as just infielder, right? And so, like, maybe he's their utility guy, and he just said yes. Like, hey, Ernie, do you want to play in the World Baseball Classic? You're American, whatever. You hit 9 home runs. But I don't know. I
There's a
don't
lot
even
of
really
guys I'd
see.
rather have than that.
Right. I don't even see really wanting to like pinch hit him in crucial moments. That's kind of the guy that you want, those guys in those moments in the World Baseball Classic. When they come up to pinch hit, it's like, why wasn't he playing in the first place? That's not really the feeling with him.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say, like, we're just talking about this, so we should probably hit another team quick. But the Dominican, they sucked last go around, but man, their team looks so stacked. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I haven't.
But so their commits, I'll just read them to you. Outfield, they have Soto, Julio, Tatis. Then their infield, they got Jose Ramirez, Geraldo Padromo, Ketel Marte, and Vlad Guerrero. And then their backup third baseman is Manny Machado. Their DH they have is Junior Caminero, and their catcher is Yainer Diaz. So they could be a problem offensively if they can click.
Yeah, yeah. Even just reading that roster makes me nervous. I think I hope we don't run into him before the final if we both got there. I hope that someone else could take him out before we had to do that job.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. We're gonna have to talk about that again, a future pod, especially as we get closer to the World Baseball Classic. Let's talk more about that matchups. As we learn more, as more of that comes out. I do want to make time, Tanner, if you want to today, and if you don't want to, or if you want to later, let's talk about it more. Let's have a discussion just about that MVP race, though, because you and I both had kind of our favorite players, some of our favorite players from our teams in it, and this is something that you and I have talked about leading up to the award as the season went on. We were just kind of texting back and forth a lot about stats. And so MVP recap, obviously with Aaron Judge winning MVP in 2025, well-deserved, historic season, really a historic run that Aaron Judge has gone on. And I think that it's becoming lost on us how great Aaron Judge truly is just in this stretch, because it's almost like we're getting used to it, right, with Aaron Judge. Mm-hmm. Talk about that a little bit. Like, do you feel like the media, baseball at large, is sort of losing its shock and awe value for Aaron Judge just because year after year he's just doing the same thing?
Definitely. I mean, I think what I will say is it seems like the people who truly understand baseball recognize that, yes, they're getting used to it, but yes, it's just so amazing that it just can't be overlooked. I mean, I think it happened this year and 2 years ago in 2024 also. Like, Bobby Witt Jr. had one of the best seasons a shortstop's ever had, and it just wasn't as good. And this last year, you could say Cal probably had the best season offensively that the catcher's ever had, and still just got overshadowed. Which, yeah, it is kind of crazy just how good he is. I would love to hear just some of your arguments on. I don't know if we'll ever probably agree on it, but why you think Cal should have won. I can say why I think Judge did deserve it.
Yeah. I should have prepped more for this. So much of my prep for the Cal MVP argument is emotional, because he plays for my favorite team. I think that there's no argument that could be sustained that could say that Cal's season this year wasn't the best catching season by at least hitting season by a catcher of all time, right? Mm-hmm. Like, he had 16 home runs, 125 RBI. Like, a lot of the discussion has been around Buster Posey in the year he won MVP. Buster had 24 home runs. He had 25 fewer RBI. Incredible catcher at the time.
Yeah.
This is something you and I have talked about, but like, he didn't have Aaron Judge going against him in the MVP race. That's what makes some of this so unique and unfortunate, because what I wish would have happened is, like, Aaron would have done his thing this year. He would have chilled out a little bit, and then Cal could have won it. And that's, I've shared some of my frustrations with you, just like, if Cal doesn't win it this year, is a catcher ever going to win it? I think the answer is no, if Aaron Judge is on the other side of the, of the ring. But like, here's some of the things that I read and have made note of, that since the Baseball Writers Association of America began awarding the MVP in 1931, Cal is the only MLB player to hit 60 home runs for a playoff team and not win the MVP. That just hurts, that had to happen. The fact that Judge sort of caught him in the end makes sense, though. You know what I mean? Because for a while there, it was like Cal was outpacing him. Actually, for a while, they were kind of neck and neck. Cal outpaced him, and then Judge kind of caught up there at the end. And so I think the home run total had less of that shock value. Mm-hmm. Like, still, 60 home runs for a catcher is, I mean, it's unheard of. And so, when you look at just like Cal versus the next highest catcher, this is this year. Cal had 31. Hunter Goodman was second with 31 RBI. He had 25 more RBI than Salvi Perez. He scored 21 more runs than William Contreras. He had almost three whole higher WAR than the second place, which was Will Smith. Then his OPS was almost 100 points higher than second, who was Shea Langoliers. He had 13 more walks than the second best catcher. It's just like it's so hard for me. But yes, that's some of the reason. Like I just saw him leaps and bounds ahead of any other catcher. I saw him breaking records, and he broke Griffey's record for the Mariners record. Like Griffey was my hero growing up, and so the fact that Cal broke Griffey's record and then he didn't win MVP, it just doesn't make sense in my emotional brain. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, totally. It's hard to take the emotions out of it for sure. And I agree. It's probably the best season a catcher's ever had. I think the biggest thing going against Cal was his average. Like he hit 247,
something like that.
Yeah, 247. That would have been the lowest batting average for an MVP winner. The current lowest is Ohtani, which doesn't really count because he also pitched that year, like full season. So it's like, does that really count as the lowest? I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess what other points, if you want, or do you want me to chat some of my judge points?
I mean, like we can go back and forth, and I think we'll have to talk more about this because I'd like to prepare more for this discussion just a little bit. But like here's where we're going to disagree. I think is the value of the position, like how it turned into on message boards. I'm sure you saw this a lot between the Yankees fans and the Mariners fans. Were like Mariners fans were basically like Cal. He had more home run and more RBI. He played in more games on a more demanding position. And then the Yankees said, wait, hold up. We can't award a guy just because he plays a more demanding position. We have to judge them based on stats and stats alone. So I'm interested to hear kind of your take on that. And yeah, give me some of your points for Judge. Cause I know, like I said, you and I were texting back and forth kind of those comparison charts between the two.
Yeah. I mean, again, we'll never agree and that's all right. I just think it's gotta be, who is the best player. Like, I don't think you can look at it from position at all, unless you have a guy like Ohtani who's pitching and hitting, but he doesn't play in the field. So then you almost take that out of it. I think there's, defensively, yeah, Cal adds more value there, but Judge is still a positive defender. Like what's FRV? I can't remember what that stands for, but like, they're about the same. Judge is actually higher. Defensive runs saved. Judge is higher than average right fielder. He set the American League record for intentional walks. Like that took away almost 40 at bats from him just from intentional walks.
He covers ground too, right? How tall is he?
6'7".
Yeah.
His OPS plus of 206 is compared to was Cal 150. That's a lot. That's a big difference. The difference between Cal and Judge is bigger than the difference of Cal to an average MLB hitter. It's pretty insane. Cal's on base was 0.007 higher than Judge's average, which is crazy. Judge had over 100 points higher on base.
Intentional walks will do that.
Intentional walks does, but the average makes a difference. What else? I mean, mine's all really stat based. I have more if you would like.
And that's gonna be the argument, right? Like I feel like when I talk about Cal, we're gonna talk about records. We're gonna talk about defining MVP because I think that probably is part of this discussion. Like you and I, you said that position doesn't matter unless it's Ohtani, which it probably does matter if Ohtani moves the needle. But like I'd like to get not from you or me, but like I'd like to get from the MLB, and this was my frustration. Let's just define the award, because if they came out and defined it better for the writers who were voting, like then I could maybe emotionally, it would sit better emotionally. A lot of those kind of bad emotions have worn off, and I've accepted Judge because like Judge is one of the best players of my lifetime, if not the best player of my lifetime, and I accept that. It just bothers me that one of my guys had to be on the brunt of that.
Yeah, unfortunate. I feel for you there.
So let's dive into that more maybe next time after maybe we can talk and give people who are listening a little bit more value of the back and forth. We can look into some of those stats. Maybe you can define MVP and I can define MVP. And then I'd love to actually make some predictions about both of those guys for the next season down to like specific stat lines. Make a prediction for Judge, make a prediction for Cal for 2026. If they stay healthy, here's what they're going to hit, how many home runs, OPS plus, all that sort of stuff. I think we could have some fun with that. Sound good?
We definitely could have some fun with that. Let's do it.
Cool, man. Anything else you want to talk or chat through before we wrap up today?
Yeah, I think that's good. We're already over half an hour, so we'll see how long people actually want to listen to us ramble about baseball stuff.
Sounds good. Next time, other than MVP stuff, we'll talk. One of my favorite things to talk about is division predictions. It's always a moving needle. Maybe we can talk about, the divisions that our teams are in and make some predictions for that, and look at the league at large. Storylines. In the meantime, I'm sure some stuff will happen between now and the next time we, film a pod. Spring stats that matter. It's a pretty fun thing to talk about. Is we all get excited about spring training, and then our team comes out and they go 10-1 in spring training, and then they start 2-8, which is always funny. And then break out in MVP contenders. I'm super excited to talk about that. But
sounds great.
Yeah, man. Thanks for listening, everybody. We if you want to be a part of the pod, we didn't mention this at the beginning. If you ever want to be a guest of the pod, or if you have a question for us, if you whatever you want to do, interact with us, throw us a DM, message, comment on this video. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks, guys.